This is the Bar Stewards Enquiry.
You're talking absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
In what way?
You were an underachiever in life. I'd saved your bacon one time. You were gone.
You handled that well. I couldn't save you. But you did the right thing.
Well, that's why you don't know anything about racing, John.
I didn't say I do.
Right?
I'm saying that...
What have you contributed to racing? You're one of these take-out merchants. Take out all you can.
And a very warm welcome to the Bar Stewards Enquiry Weekend Podcast, where it's the big race of the weekend, the Whitbread at Sandown. Famous race going down the years. And joining me to discuss these races and give you their best bets for the weekend are John Lang. Good evening, John.
Now, when Quentin was in front on the tipsters table, you always used to say, current leader of the tipsters table.
I did.
It's just John.
We're just meagre souls, though.
Here's John. He's nothing to worry about. Carry on, you know. Yeah. Evening.
Yeah, evening, John. And joining me also, John's off now. Joining me also is the last year's Naps champion, Quentin Frank.
Evening, all.
Good evening, Quentin. And certainly, last but not least, to certainly give us some brilliant twig hoppers tomorrow, I'm sure, Neville Ender. Good evening, Nev. You well?
Yeah, really well, thank you. Yeah,
good stuff. Good stuff. Right, without further ado, then we're going to get on to our best bets. But John, just before we do, coming on to a close to yours, where you said about Sandown this weekend being a bit disappointing, etc., etc. And for years gone by, they used to have a mixed meeting, didn't they? With the and I've always said, John, what meeting could you have where you could have a future Derby winner racing at the same card as, say, a Gold Cup winner? And Sandown was the only course ever to offer that, and I think that's quite an interesting thing. But what's your thoughts on the mixed card?
I just think it's a shame they don't have it anymore, because it used to bring both codes together. It was a bit of a fun day for jockeys as well, you know.
Yeah.
They used to be like the flat jockeys used to be able to sit there and watch the jump jockeys tucking into the chips and stuff, and they were having a boiled sweet and going to throw up. You know.
Could it be because the jockeys are only allowed to ride at one meeting now, and some jockeys would spend a whole day just for one ride?
Well, there is that with the new rules. I mean,
yeah.
It's in consideration, wouldn't it? Now,
yeah. Mm-hmm. It's just such a shame. I think it did work well, but then I also think as well with that. How does it work with the flat track and the jumps track with the water in at Sandown? I know what happens at Haydock, but what happens at Sandown? Is there any part of the courses that ever clash or?
Yeah, most of the course, isn't it?
Yeah,
most of the straight.
Yeah. So I mean, I suppose that's the thing. The issue now for me is then, because I always say when Haydock do a mixed meeting, it's you can end up that. But Haydock these days have decided to race on two courses, one for the flat and one for the jumps. But I've noticed when Haydock's watered for the jumps, the flat course has also been soft heavy in places. It's kind of the way we water now. For example, Epsom this week, I've seen it with Clark's now already this season. They're watering for good ground. They're not watering for good to firm anymore on the flat. They're watering for good ground.
Slow side of good, is that?
Yeah, it's a bit. I mean, there was 30 yards added at Epsom, so it probably genuinely was probably good ground. But he deliberately watered for good ground, and I'm not sure I'm a fan of doing that, because you're taking away one advantage for a certain part of the breed. For example, there'll be lots of horses that like soft and heavy ground as well. They'll get their ground a lot because of overwatering and showers. But the genuine horses that look like rattling quick ground are never going to get it the way we're carrying on.
Yeah, but you've got to remember that the majority of trainers and owners are not going to want to run their horses, are they? So you're going to get small field. If the ground came up good to firm, you're going to get less runners, aren't you?
It's true because, but again, this is the thing. Why have trainers suddenly become like this? Because I could never remember it back when I was growing up. When it was, I mean, you look at the going stick readings on turf track.
Is it to do with the sizes of the fields that the race courses get paid more if there's each way fields, 8 runners or more, they get paid more?
Yeah, another good point. Yeah. There's lots of vested interest, and I once spoke to a few. I've spoken to a few clerks before, and there's no upside for them. It seems producing quick ground. I mean, it's
Well, Taunton was abandoned this week, wasn't it? In the old days, you got a horse like you're probably too young to remember, but Yangtze Kayang, who absolutely loved it rattling. Yeah, he wouldn't have won any of those races had they, been around now.
No, I remember that. My Cup of Tea. That era, Yangtze Kiang,
Well, how many nationals would Red Rummer won?
True, yeah. Mr. Frisk, would he have won the Grand National these days?
Probably not.
No, it's
the fastest national, wasn't it, ever?
Yeah. No, it'll never get beat. It'll never get. Well, it will get beaten because obviously they've changed the distance. But obviously that was a ridiculous time, and they ran that on firm. Something that we'll never see the likes of again. Anyway. Enough rambling. We shall go on to our best bets. And Neville, I'm going to come to you first for your third best wager of this weekend.
Well, I always try and stick to the jumps, but there isn't a great deal to go on with there being just one jump meeting over the weekend.
Yeah.
But this is a good card at Sandown. When I say a good card, it's a classy card. And Paul Nicholls is out in force and has got several chances. I'll come to his in a moment, but my third best bet is in the 4-runner select hurdle. Bit disappointing, just the 4 of them. McFabulous and Scaramanga, 50% of the field are trained by Paul Nicholls. McFabulous, I don't think has got any chance at the weights. 11 stone 10. He comes out the worst at the weights. He's not really had a great season, so I'm prepared to overlook him. Also, Lorcan Williams, although he has ridden out his claim. He would have been claiming £3 maybe a month ago. Fusel Raffles, he's been chasing and he hasn't jumped a hurdle since I think he ran in the champion hurdle of 2020. So it brings it down to the bottom 2. Scaramanga has been off for very nearly 200 days. He's a good stout stayer on the flat. Probably not quite as good as he is over. Not quite as good over hurdles, which brings me down to Indefatigable, who held every chance when falling at the second last at Cheltenham in the mares race. She's consistent. She loves good ground, which she'll get, and I think is more reliable than the others. So I'm going to go for Indefatigable, who will probably be at least 2-1, maybe a bit more, in a 4-horse race where I think there's only 2 with a chance. So that's my third best. Indefatigable. I'm not overly keen on Paul Webber. I think he doesn't do particularly well with the horses he's got, but he's done well with this mare. So we'll go with her as my number 3 bet.
Good stuff, Nev. So that's Indefatigable, the mare of Paul Webber's. Rex Dingle in the saddle, 7-2 with Bet365. Nev, you'll be pleased to know. For your 1-point win. Nev's all over that. Loves that, he says. If he'd done that, he'd go 2 points. But anyway, that's done with now. That's leaving poor Harry Cobden looking at Scaramanga and its 3rd nipple to see what's wrong with that tomorrow. But anyway, so good stuff, Nev. We'll move on to yours, Quentin, your 1-pointer.
My 1-point bet comes on Sunday. There's no price at the moment, but I suspect it'll be double figures when they chalk it up tomorrow afternoon, evening, whatever they do. It comes up with being the 440, and I thought Burge Malinka of Trotter Nicholls, he caught the eye at Pontefract, kind of typical Ponty race, drawn wide, ended up 5-6 deep, covered extra ground. Under the circumstance, I felt he did well enough to keep plugging on into 7th place. Handicap has dropped him a couple of pounds for the run. I suspect it will be jump out and run, take prominent tactics again. And yeah, I like front runners around Wetherby. Should be around a double figure price, and yeah, I think it'll go well for us.
Yeah, that's so Burge Link on the Sabbath. You're going to the Sabbath to get your 1 pointer in. Burge Malinka, Quentin taking it very serious now to try and mow down John Lang in the early stages of this Nats comp. That goes at Weatherby there in the 440. Ginger Barry, he's rode a few times for me in the past. Good cool hands jockey. But what Quentin wants is a blast out ride, get a good position, get on the far rail, and away you go. So that could be the ride that seals the day. Good stuff, Quentin. Thank you, John. Your third best, please.
Third best is in the 328 at Ripon, and it's Happy Tim's horse Fishable. I've been waiting for him to step this one up in trip a bit, because I think it'll probably suit being out of a Chanteau mare. The horse was really unlucky at York last year off £2 higher. I think it might have been at the Abermeiton. It might have been the Magnet Cup. I'm not entirely sure.
I think it was the John Smith's Cup, yeah.
Yeah. Should have probably gone close to winning that day. Then season sort of fizzled out a bit, but he'd been busy enough for me. I still think there's a bit more to come from this horse this year, and I think he can certainly compete here off this mark. He's a course winner, so I'm not worried about the usual rip and undulations catching him out or anything like that. But I think this is quite a thin race, to be honest. So 1 point win Fishable.
So 1 point win Fishable for John, 328 at Ripon. Have you seen any odds, John?
No, I think it'll be about 4 or 5 to 1. I would have thought.
9 to 2 for you. You've got that. That's in the book. That's the bet struck for John on Fishable for his he likes Happy Tim at this time of year. Second off an absence, does John. So good luck with that. My third best bet goes in the Whitbread. Obviously 3:32 at Sandown tomorrow. And this is also liked as well by Catherine Fry. So we're two-pronged on this one.
You've been promoting?
Yes, we have. Basically, I purchased a match-worn Cheltenham Town thong from Fry, and so she decided to give me some advice on the weekend racing. So yeah, so yes, and I'm perfectly au fait with this horse. Hewick, I backed it at Sedgefield when it come over to win a race, and it recently ran in the Midlands National where the ground was all wrong for it. The ground is the key to this horse. Has to have top of the ground really, which he's got tomorrow. So I'm very excited for this horse at the price. They're already nibbling it and taking the prices. This will be Fry and Fry's fanboys. Disgraceful behaviour. Not allowing our podcast listeners to get on at a decent price. The 22s has gone, but 16's still available. And that's where I'm going for my 1 point win bet on Hewick. Just to clarify, if you like Enrilla, can't put you off at all. It is a bit short. It has been trained for the race. I mean, if you watch the race last year, if you play on the exchanges, you'll have some fun with that trading that. If Harry Cobden gets it out and away early into a nice rhythm, you could probably see Emrilo being 6-4 down the back for the final time. If that's your sort of thing, a very good trading horse, Emrilo, but not for me really at that short a price. So that's why I went for Hewick, and Fry also very keen. 16 to 1 is my third best. Right, I'll bounce it.
Did you pay the full $49.99 for the match one song?
Yeah, well.
Did you get a staff discount?
No, I've been invoiced, but she's not had payment yet. Right. This is a better win. So, John, I'm coming to you for your second best.
Oh, right. My second best is this Haydock, and it's in the 3:15. And this one is for Jim Hayes' gorgeous Mrs. Fitzbrianna Hay, and it's Zolo Tracker.
Yeah.
Nice race for this one, I think. Already got a mark of 76 in the bulk for me last year, and I think there's a bit more to come. The horse was a bit flighty last year, but he's had his knackers off, which is never a bad thing. Speaking from somebody who's not yet had his knackers up, but there you go. I I think Tom Markman's a good booking for this. He was booked up early enough to ride this as well. I think he'll be quite positive here, and I can't see what a pace on. I think this is very solid for the frame, so I'm going to point each way wankering.
Oh, John, each way wankering. So 7 to 1, I think it is, John.
Yeah.
Are you happy with that?
Mm-hmm.
I need to check the place terms here as we go to this. Yes, you get four places. Yeah, you get the 4 pegs for your wanker bet. Terrible bet from you.
Sorry.
7 to 1 for Fitrier, Zulu Tracker for Tom Doyle in the saddle for John tomorrow to see if he can get that home in what looks a tricky-ish 3-year-old handicap. Interesting you like that though, John. I'm going to have a closer look at that in the morning. Quentin, your 2-pointer, please.
My 2 points also comes in the 15-15 at Haydock. I'm going to oppose short head Leng. I'm going to put up Exminster. He caught the eye at Beverley, ended up wider than ideal, covered a ton of extra ground, ended up doing too much too soon and kind of half fell in the hole in the final half furlong, but he plugged on well enough, all things considered. Chickpieces goal, and he kind of half hung right, and I feel the Chickpieces should bring about a bit of improvement. I think it's the George Bowie horse came out and won at Beverley the other day in a good time, so the form looks solid. I don't think it's the deepest of 3-year-old races. The top of the market, typical woman, Ian Williams hardly hasn't ready off a break. Canny Fettel had the run of things last time out on the all-weather. Clock Noir travels and the hood should suit, but I'm not sure that the surface will. Zulu Tracker was a danger because that form was franked. The Salisbury form was franked by Renese at, where was that, Sandown today.
Yes.
But Exminster I had nearer the top of the market, and he's 8 to 1, so 2 points win at 8 to 1, please.
Good stuff. That's what you've got. 2 points win at 8. And I did watch the Beverley race. I watched it a few times because I was all over the one that won at Beverley the other day of George Bowie's that had the easy time on the front end because I thought he did a lot wide as well.
Yep.
And this one was caught very wide. So yeah, you're right to sort of like point that out. So good luck with that, Quentin. 8 to 1, 2 points. You've got Exminster. Neville, coming to you for your 2-pointer, please.
My 2-pointer goes in the 5:15 race at Sandown. And although it looks a tough handicap, and I'm not for a moment saying that this horse is a handicap snip, but he is in form, and the horse is called 50 Ball of Gary Moore's. Now, if you go back to just over 12 months ago, he finished second in a really hot version of the Betfair Hurdle. He chased home Soaring Glory off a pound higher than what he'll run off tomorrow. Behind was Edward Stone and Annual Victus, Buzz, Guard Your Dreams, Mr. Coffee. It was a really hot renewal of the Betfair Hurdle, and he finished second. He's been chasing shortly after that at the start of this season, and since they've put him back to hurdles, he's really found his form again, and he managed to win at Ascot. He beat a useful performer of Jeremy Scott's called Sizable Sam off 127, and prior to that he chased home West to the Bridge over tomorrow's course and distance. All right, it's competitive, there's no two ways about it, and they're likely to bet 4 or 5 to 1 the field, but he's a horse in form. The yard's been in form all season, and Niall Houlihan is able to still claim £3, which brings him down to a lower rating than he was running off at this time last year. So 50 Ball, 5:15, my second best bet, 5:15 at Sandown tomorrow.
Good stuff, Nev. That's 3 to 1 available. So
it is.
Yeah, it's they've had the 9 to 2, Nev. The South Coast mob's been in. You know what they're like. A disgrace.
It's not a great price, that is it? 3 to 1. I thought
yeah, I know what you mean though. But the thing is, for me, I thought the £3 it's gone up for its last win was quite light in a way. I know it's only a 4 on a field, but I thought he disposed with them, with ease. Really, Sizable Sam had previously won at Wincanton.
Yeah, absolutely. And West with the Wind has won subsequently when he was second to that, and I think the third horse has won since, as was the fourth, was that oddly named Gitmaker of Jamie Snowden. Although they're trying to call it G-Maker, aren't they now?
G-Maker, Terracita. Well, it's like when...
Yeah, I mean, that form's worked out really well.
Yeah.
So 3-1's a bit short.
Well, anyway, that's your 2 points, 3-1. I'm afraid that's it. We give you the best we can. Okay, on to mine, which goes in the 150 at Sandown, and one of yours, Nev, that you've flagged up before. I think this could finally be his day, because I fancy a big day for Pumpkin. To some degree, whether that's like 2 winners, maybe a couple of winners, but I do think he'll do well, Pumpkin, tomorrow. Nappers Hill, I thought 4-1 is extremely fair, because a few of us liked him at Sandown in the big handicap hurdle there, but the ground completely beat him. Before that, he was 6th in the Betfair. Like you said, 3rd behind John Bond. You've pointed this out before, that this horse surely is off 134. He had a nice confidence booster recently at Newton Abbott. I just think off 134, if he's not going close, I'd be really shocked that he's not close in a race of this standard. I don't think for the money, I don't think it's a great race at all. You go through some of the runners and you think, well, these would not be part of any kind of festival handicap hurdle, or be prominent in the betting for it. Headlaw's won some bad heats, and yes, he's very progressive, so I don't discount him. But at the same time, Nappers Hill's got the form in the book, and I just think 4-1's very fair. What do you think?
I thought I was disappointed with him at Newton Abbott last week. I thought he made very heavy weather of beating some horses he should have won on the bridle.
Yeah,
and I do agree that the ground went against him in the big that Novices handicap at Sandown.
Yeah,
and I thought he travelled well at Newbury in the Betfair, but I have been disappointed with him. I'm not saying I've given up on him, because I think he'll probably turn out to be a really good novice chaser next season. And I do agree with you. I think for a £100,000 race, it's a pretty ordinary turnout. But I have been a bit disappointed with Nappers Hill. I thought he was going to be a Grade 1 novice, and he's fallen certainly a stone beneath that. Yeah,
there is that. It's just the mark that attracts me, that it's obviously a pound lower than in the Betfair. And I just think, would any of these get within 6 lengths of the Betfair winner? First Street, I like to move it. Soaring Glory, Roy O'Mooney's come out and won well at Fonkwell. And I just think some of these have been racing at sort of the gaffs and running around the gaff tracks and picking up their wins there. And I don't think this is anywhere. I'll be disappointed if Nappers Hill doesn't. If we're not challenging up the running, I'll be disappointed. I'll be disappointed in Pumpkin as well. Disgraceful if he can't get Nappers Hill to win this at 4-1 for my 2-pointer. Okay, so I'll kick off the round here for the best bets, because mine's probably the worst one out of all of yours. It's a shocking bet, this, to tip. On a podcast where people want some originality, and I go all racing blogger. An absolute disgrace of a man I am. 3 o'clock Sandown. It's a celebration chase, but Griantine at 13-8 is where my max bet is, because this horse, I've said it before, he absolutely loves it. The last 2 wins at this place, you can just see, I don't know what it is about it. He likes this track. He's beaten Newby Negra here. He's beaten Sir Royal here. He's beaten Rouge Vif here. So I don't understand why he's 13-8. He's been trained for the race, so he's nice and fresh. So is Newby Negra. I take that, but I do think Griantine is a Sandown specialist. I think this. I can see this already. And 13-8 is wrong. If I was pricing this up tonight for a major firm, I would be 11-10. And that's it. That's your lot. That's all you gain out of me for Griantine tomorrow. So that's my 3-pointer tomorrow, which is disappointing. I agree. So we'll move on swiftly from that rubbish. And I'm going to come back to you, John, for your best bet of the weekend.
3:15 Haydock. Fantastic Fox. An old mate of ours.
Yes.
Now,
can't be 3:15. Did you say 3:15 at Haydock?
Is it 3:15? Sorry, 3:45. Sorry,
3:45. I was out. You got me confused. Yeah.
Can't read me on writing.
No.
Which is bad because it's taped.
It's and there's only me on the gin. This is the embarrassing thing. I'm with 3 sober people right now. It's just terrible. Anyway, John, carry on.
Right. I mean, you cast your mind back to last year. We followed this horse quite closely, and it's always been held in fairly high regard by Team Varian. But of course, the big problem we had last year with this horse was he was very free going, and he was ridden nearly all the time by old concrete hands.
Yes.
And I honestly think that really hampered that horse's progress last year. Yeah. And I thought he would have made up into 110 horse last year, but for the lack of assistance from the saddle in getting this horse to drop the snaff. There were several occasions, none more so than when he won at Haydock on soft ground, where, I mean, for that money, he could have won 5 minutes if Silly just got him to drop it a bit.
Yeah. John, you're totally right. I mean, De Souza's hands last year were like Terry Waits tied to the radiator, weren't they? I mean, it was just, you know, the fella just, I don't know where he's gone, but he's gone downhill badly.
I mean, anything that wanted settling, you didn't want to sell, did you? And this was a case in point that was illustrated throughout the season. I mean, you go back to the start of last season, this horse was 1 3/4 lengths behind Snow Lantern in the Yeobury Maiden. And he missed the kick that day and went cane. You know, so I mean, it wouldn't have been the biggest stretch of the imagination if he'd settled properly to see him turning air over that day.
Yeah.
You know, it was just a capital of disappointment last year, despite some wins. Go on.
No, I like your case. I really do. I think it's a solid case, to be honest.
And then just the cherry on the cake, of course, is he's 2 stones later this year because he's had them off.
Yes. What the old
yeah.
Yes.
The gaffers are off. So
yes, it's Fantastic Fox was once described by one of my contacts as having the biggest pair that he's ever seen on a colt. Buster Gurnard standard.
Like basketballs.
Yeah, like basketball, absolutely. So Fantastic Fox, John. Are you on the nose, John? Are you? What are you doing?
3 points win, no question.
3 points win. 13-2 with William Hills. Take the price before John does. Don't know how you can do that, but anyway, it's.
Have a job.
Thank you, John, for your best bet. I'm going to move on to. I'm going to leave Quentin till last because I'm intrigued what Quentin's is. Neville, your 3-pointer, please.
Well, you were apologising for your nap selection, and I'm going to apologise for mine. I don't think the price is fair, but I'm going to stick with Enrillo. He's got some unfinished business, so to speak, after last year in the what used to be known as the Whitbread, now the Bet365 Gold Cup. He's had a very quiet season. He started off by running in what used to be the Hennessy, and I fancied him that day. He was travelling nicely when he came down at the 14th. He ran moderately at Cheltenham in December, but the horses from that yard were not exactly firing at that time. And I thought he ran okay in the Coral Trophy at Kempton on his last start. He got beat 11 lengths, but he has been dropped £2, but he did travel like the best horse. Had he fallen or pulled up or whatever, 3 from home, he'd have said that he would have pissed up. I think he's he's crying out for good ground. There's no two ways about it. He wants good ground. He travelled so well last year in this race, and he still had enough energy to start wandering across the track and pricking his ears. That I think he had plenty in hand last year, despite losing the race. All right, he's not brilliantly handicapped with one or two that ran in the race last year, but I honestly cannot believe that we've seen the best of this horse this season. His price is poor. 4-1 is not. It's just not an accurate reflection of his chance, because there are several horses coming into this race in form, and I think Musical Slave's a big danger. I think if Enrelo does underperform, I think Musical Slave, who has really come to hand of late, he's due to go up £7 in future races, but I think the ground might just have gone against him. I think he wants some cut in the ground. I'm against Win My Wings. She's going to have to be bordering on almost Gold Cup class to win this, because she runs off 154. She'd get £7 in the Gold Cup. That'd take her to 161. She's going to, if she won this, she'd have to be at least £5 better than the mark. She's going to have to be the most improved mare in training. So I'm against Win My Wings, and I honestly do not think we've seen Enrilo's best form at all this season. I'm going to go with him, but I don't think 4-1 is a fair reflection. But I can only go with what I fancy, and he's my 3-point tip for tomorrow.
Nev, I think you're doing yourself down. I don't think 4-1 is that bad. I just think there's probably not a lot of juice in it, but the way he went through the race last year, I mean, there'll be a lot of people, if you've laid the 4-1 and everything's going right early, you'll not be feeling very, very good at laying the fours mid-race, because he just travels all over them. And that's the thing. So I think it's angles for punters as well. Punters might feel, oh, well, yeah, we'll go with that. In the fact that you know we can have a nice trade.
I've been itching all week to back him anti-post, and I did notice on Betfair he was trading at about 6-1 on Betfair, and I ignored that. So I'm finding it very hard to take 4-1 after that. But if ever there was a horse laid out for a race, this has got to be the one. He's had 3 runs this season. He hasn't even completed in 2 of them. So he's hardly. It must be so fresh. He hasn't even ran 3 races this season by not completing in 2 of them. He's got everything in his favour.
No, I agree.
Except the price.
I agree. I mean, Nev, the thing is, I always think I'm the glass half full, you're the glass half empty, and that we'll both like a 6-4 chance, and you'll think 6-4, and I'll go 6-4. What value? You'll go 6-4. That's no value. But I always think Neville is like that. So for listeners, if you're listening, thinking that Neville doesn't like Neville, I always think underestimate sometimes like short prices. I do think when Nev likes one, I do think there's a little bit of juice in the fours. But we'll see. And thanks, Nev, for that 3 points. And it's a very solid selection. Quentin, I'm coming to you because you're going to save the weekend when we've all done our bollocks.
My 3-point bet comes in the 5-10 at Ripon. I'm quite keen on Selby's Pride. 5-2, 9-4 in a couple of places. I made it a fair bit shorter. She's improved since she came back from her August break. She ran second at York on soft ground, and then came out this season at Thirsk, and she ran third there in a class 3 handicap. Takes the downgrade into a class 4 0-80 tomorrow. She's already got the course form in the book, and it was a good effort on the clock last time out. Was it last weekend? 2 weekends ago even. The form was franked earlier today when the Adam West horse absolutely shit up at Sandown. It doesn't look a deep race. Tim Easterby's looked paceless on soft ground. I don't really think that wants 5 furlongs. There just doesn't look to be much that's well handicapped in the race. Either in about 5-4 when chalking up the race. She's 5-2, 9-4 in a couple of places, and that's the one for me, to be honest. I can't really find much to oppose her with.
Lovely this. For Selby's Pride, for the Coiler, and Paddy Mathers, 5-2. It could be blast off. for Quentin. What's the running style of Selby's? Is it normally?
I suspect it will sit in track Roger Fell's horse, to be honest. Just sit on the rail slot. Hopefully a gap comes and just it'll take off and go away. The improvements come on soft ground, but the way she moves and she's by a lethal force, I think the improvements come from her physically getting stronger rather than the ground side of things. So I actually think good ground at Ripon tomorrow will be absolutely perfect.
Good stuff, Quentin. So that's 3 points, 5-2 for Quentin Selby's Pride. To blast off, go off at 8-11, John, and win by a short head.
Obviously.
Cue John messaging me, and he'll say something like, I see Frank's horse has just got up again.
You know what? I was on cash earlier, so swings and roundabouts, doesn't it?
Yes, that was pain for all concerned. Spencer and Simcock. If you ever want to see why we have so much fun about Spencer and Simcock, watch Cash today. Watch the ride it got, and that's all we need to sort of touch on. Really, nothing else really to say. But yeah,
just as he was riding Lionel.
Oh, that was brutal, that watch, wasn't it? Oh.
Yeah, like poor Lionel last week. Yeah, been spencered. Anyway, we move on to the television fair tomorrow. We'll cover the flat first because they're just covering the 2 races, or the telly races on the flat. And Haydock, the 205, is a TV race there, and Boardman heads the market for Happy Tim at 4-1. Anybody any thoughts on this?
At risk of sounding completely blogger, I don't think this will win. Back on a decent mark after, Rocky controlled the ratings last year with Tim, this horse. And he was excellent on his debut this year. Sat out the back, made his ground up. Pretty much saw his race out as well, which Tim's tend not to on the seasonal debuts. He usually leaves plenty on them. And he's got winning form round here as well. He doesn't mind this turning track, so I think he's got plenty going for him, and should be a winner for Thick Dave, I think.
Yeah, he's been well backed so far, 4-1 this evening.
There's actually a very interesting other one of Tim's in this tomorrow that I'm absolutely convinced he's having a fail up. That's Del Grey Boy. Now, if you've got the facility to have a look at how this travelled at Redcar on seasonal debut.
This isn't in 205 though, John, is it?
Yeah. It's in
it's in the 345.
Sorry. I'm getting mixed up again with my Haydocks. That's in the Fantastic Fox race, isn't it? Scrub that then. Leave Del Grey Boy out.
Yeah, I'm blaming your typing, John.
It's all it can be. I'm all over the place. I've been cutting and pasting and rearranging. Honestly, I don't know my ass from my elbow.
It's one of the. Do you remember that film? Was it Misery? Like, it's like when she's had all you, that Kathy Burke, and you're typing away, that Paul Sheldon, and she's battered your legs and.
I've had my legs smashed. Yeah, it's like being held captive by Liz Truss.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
I wouldn't mind that, to be honest.
Jesus. Anybody else on the 205?
I was with John, to be honest. Boardman ended up on the wrong part of the track at Redcar, shaped well. Market said not today. It's clearly on a winning mark, goes well at the course. There wasn't much not to like, to be honest. Silver Samurai looked a bit doggy last time out. Fahees will probably need the run. I'm interested in Happy Tim's when he gets this snash back on your weather. I think they'll have a little bit of fun with that if they can find it the right sort of race. But Tom Eves is on tomorrow, so that's not tomorrow.
Well, stop it, Tom. Stop it, Tom.
Yeah. I'd quite happily back Boardman. It was 11-2. It's now 4s. Am I bouncing with 4s? Probably not. It's tight. It's tight at 4s. Right favourite, definitely.
Good stuff. I have nothing really to report in this. I found it very, very tricky. Neville, nothing for you here?
Nothing at all. No, I didn't like the race at all.
No. We go to the 245 at Leicester, the King Richard III Stakes. I think York should come to one of these just for a bit of banter. Poor King Richard III. He got, he belongs in York, and Leicester's took him. Disgrace. Anyway, Path of Thunder is wrist 5-4 favourite Jolly for Charlie Appleby and Will Buick. Ran third in Maidan recently, and certainly ran well. Had the run of the race, nice box seat, sort of in behind the pace. Didn't see anything really that I thought, well, yes, you're gonna suddenly bounce away, but. A very trappy affair. Quentin, I'm coming to you first because you might be able to unlock this.
It was tricky. I went 6-4, 4-1 with the Coxhalls being the 4-1 one. Concerns with him in regards to small field and pulling his nuts off. That's a massive concern. The other two I couldn't really split at the top of the market. Happy Power, I think it's 3.1 on the machine now. If I had to have a bet, I'd have a small play on Happy Power, but you've got 5 flat meetings tomorrow. I think I'm better off finding edges elsewhere.
Yes.
Appleby's on fire. Path of Thunder's no doubt come back from Maidan in decent nick, but yeah, that's how I priced it, and I don't think there's enough juice in it for me to have a bet in a small field affair like this. It's God knows why only 3 have turned up. It's normally, I guess it's normally a small field. There was 4 last year. But yeah, quite disappointing, to be honest.
It is. It is, and I think we're going to get more of this summer.
It's crazy, isn't it? All that, a good race like this. I don't know what the third's getting, but I bet it'll be a few grand just for turning up.
Yep.
Wish I'd put one of my selling platers in it because it'd have won for finishing 4th. It's just crazy, isn't it? Really. I know there was a non-runner. Ed Rock's been taken out, but. It's all that prize money going to share between 3 horses. On a point of Charlie Appleby, his horses are in incredible form. It's just crazy, isn't it? Last 23 runners, 12 winners. I don't think, if any have been out of the first 4, it can only have been 1 or 2. It's just on fire at the moment.
Yeah.
Aratus is difficult to weigh up in it. They've gelded him since last season, and. Would he win a handicap of 102? Probably not, which makes me think that the other 2 are going to dominate the race. But I'm with you. I don't think there's any angle on the race, really. The price is just... I don't fancy Errata, so it looks as a match, and I don't think there's any great value in it. But it's poor. When you think 3 runners for a listed race of all that prize money, it's ridiculous, really. And you run a race on the all-weather for £2,000 and you get 40 entries.
Well, that's it. That's the horse racing stock now. We could put on 10 0 to 55s tomorrow. If anyone would race, we could put easily 10 0 to 55s on. That's where we're going. That's where British racing's heading. John, I presume I agree with Quentin and Nev. You sort of in agreement?
If you're desperate to have a bet on the Richard III, you're just a massive Richard III, aren't you?
Yes, John, me and you'll be having one during that and then back out for some gin and stuff. Let the dog in.
Yeah.
Let the dog in. Right, so we'll go on to Sandown, where obviously the jumping finale for British racing on the season, and obviously before we start having 4 jump meetings probably next week and the week after. Anyway, Nappersill, I've tipped that. Nev was not so keen this time because he was disappointed with Newton Abbott.
I thought Whiskey was interesting. I thought he ran well at Aintree.
Yeah.
And I didn't think he jumped particularly well at Aintree, but I was surprised how little he got beat in the end when everything seemed to take him on. And he was 100 plus horse on the flat last in France. They must think a bit of him because they started him off in a Grade 1 race in Constitution Hills. Was it the Tolworth he made his debut in? So they obviously think he's pretty good. But I'm sure this wasn't the immediate target. I'm sure Aintree was the main target. You just wonder whether maybe the edge might be taken off him. But I thought Whiskey was interesting if his price was big enough.
Yeah, he's around the 6-1 mark. So
yeah, it's fair enough, isn't it?
Yep, interesting, Nev. There. So what about Quentin? You Twig Hopper fan, you?
Massive Twig Hopper fan. Yeah, safe to say I didn't do massive work on the jump. Snappers Hill was the one that caught the eye with better ground. Yeah, I didn't do a lot on the race, if I'm honest, but I would trust your judgment and row in with Nappers Hill as well.
Yes, it's time. It's time for the Nappers. John Joe Lang, what are we saying?
I'm chucking in with Nev. I quite like Whiz Kid. I thought.
Well, you would.
Now that you can definitely. I have got it written down here. You can see it's like countdown. I'll show me working. I think he can run to his mark. That's okay on the ground. Should be there about 6-1. Fair enough. Talk.
Yeah, no. Look, he did run quite well at Aintree because I think I laid him in running and still got a bit of a scare. Turning in because you're thinking you should have dropped back by now, but he didn't. It was like one of them bad dreams you have where they keep chasing you. Anyway, 225. It's the Bet365 Oaksey Chase 4-runner affair, but certainly a bit of quality nevertheless. I was with Earn River. I'm going to give him another chance because he never absolutely just never jumped at Aintree at all. Which I always excuse a horse round Aintree because that sharp mile make course with those fences. If you're not in a rhythm, you're a million early on, and that would have been a course that he's probably not used to. When he's been winning, he's managed to win very, very well at Doncaster and Wetherby, real big galloping tracks. I don't think he liked Aintree. There's no way he deserves to be outside of here. Nutswell is sort of disputing outsider, but I think he's had a long season. St Calvados finds less than probably what you think off the bridle. Mr. Fisher doesn't win the race as he should. Where am I going wrong, Nev?
Yeah, I looked at this race and I couldn't find one that I thought would win the race. They've just tried to make St Calvados into a 3-miler, and he doesn't want the ground as quick as it's going to be. It looks like he's a real mudlark. Mr. Fisher is in and out. If the good Mr. Fisher turns up, he'd have strong credentials, but he's very difficult to trust implicitly. He runs more bad races than good races. I think Nutswell is up against it, and Earn River, I don't think he was beaten at Aintree when he came down. I think he was just getting into it, but he's got a bit to find on the book. He's only had 2 runs under rules over fences, which is going to be a huge disadvantage, but it might be worth risking him if he is the outsider of 4, because I think there's question marks against everything really. But I'm with you. I don't think that the form book tells you that Earn River can't win it because he's got too much to find, but there's question marks against his 3 rivals. So I'll go with Earn River if he's a decent price. Yeah,
and about 5-1, 9-2 available for Earn River.
Fair enough, isn't it?
That'll do for me. John Neville?
I came down on Mr. Fisher as the most likely winner, I thought, but I couldn't back it. I think the horse is an absolute wanker.
Yeah.
It's fair enough. Yep. Dirtly silence there, but then we'll move on. We'll go to the 3 o'clock then. The celebration chase. This is where we're celebrating the near end of the jump season.
We're celebrating. It's going to piss off.
Disgraceful comments from us, really, for our National Hunt listeners, but they understand. I've tipped Griantine, a disgraceful nap. You 3, what are we saying? We've only 5 to pick from. What are we saying?
Griantine as well. Course and distance form, clearly loves it round here. Big figures on the clock round here. It looks to be two to deal with him and New Bread Ball. Griantine's the one for me. Grenatin even.
Yeah, I mean, I came down with Griantine purely because he loves Sandown. He's run well in 2 Tinkle Creeks. He's won one of those. He has beaten Nubray Negra over this course and distance on today's terms. He's relatively fresh. I think we can forgive his last run at Leopardstown because the Nichols horses were all wrong that day, and he if I remember rightly, he stuck to the inside when everything else went wide, and he probably wasn't given tactically a very good ride either that day. So we'll ignore his last run. Before that, he chased home Shiskin. He beat Hitman over this track in December, and he started off in the Holden Gold Cup off a huge weight. I think he's got a lot going for him. Nube Negra, the Skelton team seem to talk him up, and they're convinced he's a Grade 1 horse. He's had 3 runs this season, so he's going to be fresh. And so Royal is ultra consistent. It'd be very hard to see him not concerned somewhere along the line, but I wasn't overly keen on the 13 to 8 green team. I'd want a little bit more, but if I had to choose one, to have my last quid on, it'd be him.
Yeah, great green team then for sort of a unanimous party. John, are you green team?
Clean sweep.
Clean sweep, yeah, absolutely. Come on then, the big one. You must have all Nev's Enrilleur. I like Enrilleur too, but I've gone with the value with Hewick for the Shark Hanlon. Quentin and John, to finish the show, what are your choices in the Whitbread?
I'd just like to say Win My Wings run really, really well and being amongst it, and then it will just cement her place as the mare of the season and stop ITV giving an award to Snow Leopardess. So that's the only thing I want out the Whitbread.
I just love John's thoughts at times. Quentin?
Fry pointed me in the same direction she pointed you in the Hewick.
This is terrible. And you've not had to buy a thong?
I didn't know.
This is well, we know where we all stand now, don't we? You know.
Well, she hasn't actually told you who's really been wearing them. That's the worrying thing for you,
Right, good stuff. So Quentin's with Hewick. I'm with Hewick, Nev Enrilleur, and John Win My Wings because he doesn't want Snow Leopardess to win any awards from ITV. That is the sum of the bar, stewards. We hope you've enjoyed this cracking show. Nothing more to add. We're back on Sunday with the sermon. Myself, John, and someone else who talks a lot of rubbish in Lone Malvo. He's back on Sunday. So you'll enjoy that to finish off everyone doing the brains in the street. And that's all from us. Bye for now.